Again, welcome to the Questers Conference. It's so wonderful to see all of your faces. We have some new faces and some old friends as well. This is my first presentation with the Questers. Pardon me. So we tune up our speaker. And I'm feeling very honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And we're going to be speaking today about galactivation. And before I do get started, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the source of this information and how this came to be. So, about 10 years ago, I went through what is known as a spiritual awakening. And of course, during this particular time, I understood that what was happening to me was very unique, and it was definitely about my connection with the universe and with source energy. And I became introduced to a different hierarchy of guides that explained themselves or called themselves ascended masters. And I thought that these were human angelic beings until later, when I found out they were actually extraterrestrial in origin. And so through the process of the last 10 years, I've had an experience of communication, of reading what is known as the holographic reality, seeing what's known as literally the matrix, understanding the projection of this particular reality, how consciousness moves through a time-space matrix. And so I'll be using the word ascension, and ascension and moving through a time-space matrix is actually synonymous, one and the same. It's a science of how consciousness moves through a time-space matrix in order to evolve into higher dimensional states and realities, as well as experience, and that we actually have choice in this matter. And during this particular time of ascension, this is a very specific time that is very important to our planet in terms of we are moving through a cycle which gives us an opportunity to connect to these levels of intelligences, to frequencies, to higher states of being. And this is why this information is being presented at this very special time on our planet. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what ascension means. And through this process now, hopefully give you some tools and some mind-expanding, thought-provoking ideas to ponder and meditate upon in order to bring this into your own empowerment and your own level of truth. There are things that I may be saying that may stretch you, that may certainly provoke you into different levels of thought and being, and I just ask, of course, you reserve all that is only in true alignment to your heart, what really resonates with your own being, and of course, discard anything that doesn't feel right to you. So again, thank you so much for being here, and let's get continued here. I thought this was very interesting to share. I don't know how many of us in the group have noticed in the last few days, science is actually corroborating so much of what so many of us in the metaphysical realm understand, what's happening to our planet right now. But recently, just in the last week, NASA has found a completely new star and actually a black hole in the fabric of space-time, which is that little blue hole right there. But I wanted to share that with you because I thought that fascinating in terms of the timeline of this, that as we're going through the ascension process, science and metaphysics are definitely starting to bridge different levels of understanding, and I think it is those of us in this room that are participating in this conference that are willing to open that dialogue between science and metaphysics and spirituality. But I found this to be an amazing discovery because science is basically saying they've never seen a star be born, and that this star is 10 times larger than our own sun. And this is coming out of the Milky Way galaxy and was captured by the Herschel telescope just on May 9th. So I thought that was fascinating. I think if you Google this, if you're interested, you'll see more information, but certainly appropriate to the times. So energetic synthesis is a sort of organization. It's many things. It's hard to describe what it is, but I do have a website presence, and I wanted to describe a little bit of the foundation of this information and its purpose in terms of its mission, how it serves humanity. The information that I'm in agreement to facilitate is a part of something called the guardian consciousness. And the guardian consciousness is that those of us that feel inspired to become representative as a guardian consciousness for this planet and for the direction of what's happening with human consciousness. Some of us are developing a different level of mastery with ourselves and our energy and our orientation with the planet in order to effectively work with the holographic, or what's known as the consciousness fields of the planet. Because as we become more aware of the consciousness fields of the planet, we actually become more influential in shifting those fields into higher states of, again, frequency and reality. So the mission statement of energetic synthesis and this information, where it's sourcing from, is a reflection of the guardian perspective. And so this information from their perspective is, they've given us a model to describe the science of ascension and the science of how consciousness moves through time and space. It helps us to be able to bridge mentally, spiritually, and sort of create a bridge work connection that helps us to anchor this more into a practical or physical reality of who we are, because so much of this is very hard to grasp at a linear mind level. And as we all know, if we actually relied completely just on our linear rationale, this process would drive us crazy. So a lot of this is about feeling and intuition and developing knowing, because this is a time we are moving beyond the thinking perspective and into the knowing perspective, and understanding that the knowing, the cellular knowing, is an emotional intelligence that our body has the capacity to reach. And this is how we become aware of other levels of intelligences and other levels of contact that help us to expand our consciousness and our aura and our field. And so we'll be discussing more about that model that helps you to connect mentally to your spiritual bodies, which are indeed levels of intelligence. This is consciousnness, but consciousness is power. So understanding your personal power as a consciousness, and that consciousness is energy, and energy is conscious, but as well, energy has information. It is a level of intelligence. And this is what I'm going to be describing a little bit more with you here today. So the guardian perspective is the information that is the support for the galactic families of humanity. It is this family, the star-seeded, the indigo being, this level of consciousness, and I'll describe a little bit more about that. It is this family that has a blueprint and agreement with this earth to support the foundation of cosmic citizenship and to support the foundation of evolutionary awareness during this ascension cycle. It's no accident in terms of why we are incarnated in this particular time and space. We're here to participate in one of the most incredible events in human and non-human consciousness that we are having the ability and opportunity to take part in at this time. So as we support the foundation of cosmic citizenship, it is through unity consciousness as an evolutionary model for this planet and humanity. And this information is an earth-based advocacy that's designed for that specific group. There's no value difference given on the role each being has chosen for its expression here. The Guardian Group's mission directive is rehabilitation of the hologram, which again means repairing the architecture, repairing the DNA, understanding that that's all the same. The planetary consciousness field is the same DNA that we carry within our own individual bodies. So we're starting to understand our macro-micro relationship to the planet and how we can shift our own consciousness by, again, understanding a part of our body as the greater whole. So also embodying the ascended human protoform and supplying context on ascension dynamics and the ET agendas, which are called the exopolitic agendas, by re-educating both human and non-human beings to be congruently aligned to the universal law of one. Freedom, fraternity, and the sovereign right of all beings to be a knower of God's source is protected by this collective unity vow shared among our universal guardian groups. So the Guardians have given me something they refer to as the collective unity vow. And if you would for a moment just hold the space with unity intelligence as we open this space for all of us within our conference here today to really connect. This is a handshake that basically calls them in. This is sort of like E.T. phone home, to say that humorously. This group unity vow is a way of saying, I'm holding the unity intelligence, beloved God, beloved source, all beloved beings that are in alignment to the unity field. We call upon you now to join our collective field in our purpose, which is as one. So again, let's prepare just for a moment to take a breath, and if you would, hold the space for the group unity vow. So our defenders of truth, sovereignty, and liberation, our guardian families that serve the one, from across all multiverses, we call upon you to join with us now. Our unification principle deemed as demonstrated in the waves of omni-love, we sound our group note to you now. Our group template here today, updated both individually and collectively, renewed and forever perpetuated in the eternally sustained light. As we create our sacred container today, we consecrate and dedicate to the purposes of one as we endeavor to be the knower of God, to then be the way-shower of God. Beloveds, please sustain us in the eternal power of our consecration. We ask for day-keeping today to hold our planet, our community, our Quester conference, our mission, our mutual highest God purpose and service to the one light source. Our intention is unification through the crystal principle as an energetic reality here and now. So we ask the handshake of our group today to be fortified in our spiritual links through the universal cosmic trinity and into the core of one, which is the 0 point God matrix, the source of our genesis. With deep reverence for life, beloved God, please breathe your living light into all created form. As we set our intention now to be remembered to that which we fully are, completely and totally. And we state our mutual purpose as one, resurrect all inorganic pattern to the organic living light now. To that we say, thank you, God, as we are the cosmic Christ, and so it is, commanded with loving decree. And thank you for holding that space. So what is Ascension? Let's talk about that for a moment. The 2012 timeline and Ascension as well are kind of synonymous when we're speaking about, there's a lot of different information currently talking about Ascension at this time. Words like 2012, Ascension, the end of times, things like this are very common, especially, of course, in the consciousness field and the 2012 field. So this is all really one and the same, but there's different lineages that explain the same thing in a different way. So this is just one lens of perception in the prism of the Godhead, of which this information is being relayed to you. And then, of course, it's up to each one of us to feel what truly resonates with our own heart and being and what is the best for our own growth and our connection to Source. So Ascension is truly the mechanics behind creation. It's a spiritual science, again, of how consciousness moves through a time and space matrix. Understanding that all energy is conscious, and consciousness is energy. And this is, again, we're going to talk about the intelligence fields of that energy. Now, when we're speaking about dimensions, timelines are the same thing. So timelines and dimensional planes are the same. So when we speak about dimension, we're speaking about a dimension of time, either a future time, a past time, and this is recorded in the cellular matrix of the planet itself, and as well our own auras and our own beings. There is absolutely nothing that has transpired on this planet and in this universe that is not recorded in your cells. And this is the information that we're starting to remember and to access as we come into different and higher consciousness of being. How do we access that level of intelligence, and how do we interpret what we're feeling? And this is a model to help you do that. So at this time, Ascension, as we are moving into higher vibration and higher dimensional planes, we're actually skipping forward in time as we change the focus of our consciousness. So humanity at this time and the planet is moving into another reality, dimension, or time during this 2012 cycle. And an Ascension cycle is every 26,556 years, which again takes us around the galactic core. Right now we're coming into that alignment. That's December 21st of 2012. where our planetary galactic core and the sun and the Milky Way all line up and create a portal effect. And that portal effect is allowing an incredible exchange of energy, entities, you name it. It's an amazing opportunity. I think we are stepping into the mystery, one of the greatest mysteries of God ever, and we get to witness this in a physical form, so it's really an amazing time for us. Our planet here, the third dimensional planet, and I'm going to speak about parallel planets in a moment, because there are actually parallel Earths that exist in simultaneous time, but we're here in this focus of our consciousness. We are in the third dimensional planet Earth, and 3D planet Earth entered a galactic cycle in 2008, and what that means is in 2008 we really started to receive an influx of off-planet frequencies, which are called stellar activations, frequencies that are not indigenous to the 7 solar planes of our planet. So it's like understanding, very similar to our chakra system. Our planet has a chakra system, and as we have, just for simplicity's sake, the 7 primary chakras, which are 7 planes of being and 7 levels of intelligence, the planet as well has the same thing. The planet is our body, so it's almost like thinking of planet Earth as the collective human body. It has all of the same components. It's got a physical body, an emotional body, a mental body, and a spiritual body, just like we do. It is a part of us. So when we understand that connection, it really expands our point of view and our perception of the vastness of who we are as beings as well, as multidimensional beings. So this particular version of planet Earth is undergoing a galactic planetary cycle as we come into the descension or ascension of the 2012 marker. And what that means is a tremendous amount of these off-planet frequencies are coming in. And what this means is that energies and entities that have never been on the planet before are here now. So this creates an effect for some of us that are sensitive to those fields, maybe some extra chaos, some energy barrage, a feeling of energetic congestion or confusion. And this is why, as we have a model to understand how to come into clarity from confusion, how to come into anchoring within your own core being, you learn that you are your own universe, and you can actually hold the anchor and balance of that consciousness within you, because we're becoming now, it's necessary to become inner directed rather than externally focused. Learning how to connect into the core of your own being is how you begin to open emotional cognition and the wisdom of your body's. Thank you. We're having some technical difficulties, but the emotional wisdom that your body is able to connect to and the higher sensory perception, which is a function of your spiritual bodies. When your spiritual bodies become connected to your physical body, you start to receive all kinds of new senses. Cellular telepathy is another way to say knowingness. And I think everyone in the room has had that moment when you just know something, but you don't know how you know this. And someone will say to you, well, gee, how do you know this? And you're like, I don't know, I just know. This is a function of your spiritual bodies. So we're becoming literally like barcode readers, the ability to read energy signatures and energy fields from the process of allowing and knowing that information to be received. So we become less reliant on the external senses that we've been using, which we've become rather used to. But most of our external senses actually get in the way of our inner connection and our spiritual connection. So again, our key at this time is to really become inner directed, to learn how to quiet the mind, to clear the audio-visual stimulus, and to really feel and get into connection with the core essence of who you are, so you can learn to expand your spiritual muscle, which is cellular knowingness and cellular telepathy. It's very much like going to the gym or working out or building a muscle. When you build a muscle, you start to increase the neural networks, you start to entrain the muscle. Your consciousness is very much the same way. What you do not use, you actually lose. So as you develop that, or you become aware of that, and many times just becoming aware of it is sufficient, you can start to access levels of yourself and your knowing, and you learn to trust that information that's sourcing from the inner voice, as that is the voice of God, that is the voice of your connection. And that is really the most important connection that you should cultivate within your life. So at this time, too, Ascension, this is a picture of the Andromedan galaxy, and the Guardians have described that we indeed are connecting to another universe. And as we go through the Ascension cycle, the core of our universe is aligning to the core of the next universe. And our universal core through the Milky Way galaxy is where Orion is. It's the Orion core. Through Orion, through the Milky Way and Sagittarian galaxy, as we go through that core, we connect into the Andromedan core. And this, indeed, from the Guardian perspective, is the opening to the next universe. So according to them, we are actually merging universes at this time. And I believe as well, even though I'm not incredibly versed in it, I do believe that NASA has captured the Andromedan galaxy actually colliding with our own. They actually have pictures of that somewhere. So I always find that interesting, too, that science actually does have a demonstration of very similar information that the Guardians are bringing forth at this time. So integrated ascension, to become spiritually developed, is to understand inner sustainability. So there's basically, when we understand the forces and the pairs of opposites on this planet, there are really two ways of being. It's very oversimplified, but a way to understand how do we become inner sustained, as this is the ultimate energetic sustainability is inside you, is within your own core God being. As we are fully connected inside, we become inner directed and then inner sustained. And what that means is that there is no attachment or need that the external be a certain way. That you understand that as you start to actually have attachment or you try to control your reality, you're interfering with it. Most people